Hi everyone, it's Laura Clark, and I'm going to be sharing with you an evidence-based strategy called Active Supervision. If you would like to access a copy of the slides from this presentation, use the bit.ly link on our first slide. So we are focusing on looking at those efficient and effective strategies that are called low intensity, which means they need limited prep or supplies and have evidence behind them to support student success, especially those students that demonstrate challenging behaviors in our classrooms. This strategy in particular was featured in Beyond Behavior, which is one of the journals produced by the Council for Exceptional Children's Behavior Division, known as CCBD. And if you work with students that demonstrate challenging behaviors, then I would highly recommend you consider becoming a member of CEC. And in Kentucky, our Kentucky CEC group, because we focus on supporting each other to support students throughout the state that qualify either as having a disability in the EBD category, autism, other health impairments, and across the spectrum, students that demonstrate those challenging behaviors that make classroom instruction sometimes more challenging than other days. This issue of Beyond Behavior focused on lots of great strategies that you can use to enhance student success. So after you check out Active Supervision, if you'd like to check out any of the other strategies that were included in this issue, don't hesitate to head back to NKCES's website and choose from any of our other trainings that are offered on these topics. So our focus in this training is active supervision, and what active supervision does is incorporate established expectations. So hopefully some school-wide and for sure class-wide expectations for student behavior. It involves us frequently scanning the classroom and having lots and lots and lots of positive interactions with our students, both those positive verbal interactions, what I'm saying to students, and my nonverbal behaviors, that smiles and thumbs up, and the fact that I am moving around the classroom, engaging in the learning with students and really encouraging them as I go. We're reinforcing that desired behavior. In other words, we're saying to students, I love the way you're getting that work done. That was a great conversation your group just engaged in. Way to really dive into the learning target today. We're also, during active supervision, providing that positive and proactive correction as needed to help increase student success. We know that the more immediate our feedback happens, whether it's praise or correction, the more likely it is to positively impact student behavior in the future. So in a nutshell, active supervision means I'm engaging with my students during their learning. So if I've given them a task, I am constantly monitoring and moving around my classroom to ensure that students are on task and moving forward. So the first thing I want to do is look across the academic day to identify if there's a specific time of day, a transition, a specific activity in which students, either some students or lots of students, might be demonstrating some behavioral challenges that might benefit from active supervision. And those behavioral challenges might look like things like just the group is primarily off task at 2 o'clock. So what can I do to increase on-task behavior at 2 o'clock? I'm really focusing on those areas and times of day that appear to be more problematic than others, and then starting small. So the first thing I would want to do is list out all the instructional activities that happen within my classroom day and week, and also look at the transition times, all the different times we either transition around the building, but also transitioning within instructional periods. So maybe during my language arts block, we're doing 4 different activities where we're transitioning from me providing instruction to a think, pair, share activity to a small group activity to independent work. All those transition times can lead to some behavioral challenges. The next thing we want to do is evaluate those times of day and look at how we're doing. We can use a really simple scale where we rate a 1 for times of day that are not effective for student engagement and success. A 2 is, it's a little bit successful. Not everybody's on task, but some folks are. And a 3 for highly effective. You can also do this rating based on specific students' behavior. So, how is John doing throughout the instructional activities in transition times? Once I've identified those challenge times or areas or routines or structures within my day for specific students that might be having challenges, then I can head to the next step. So gather in your mind a challenge time of day or a challenge time for a specific student. And next, you'll want to make sure that the students understand the routine that you are expecting. So go back and check. Have I explicitly taught my students what I expect them to do in this moment? Are there any kind of picture supports or written schedules that would support and enhance a student's ability to follow those directions? Have I scaffolded my support over time, and have I modeled those expectations? If the answer to any of those are no, then I might want to use one of those evidence-based strategies to see if I can support students being more successful in that time of day. We know that all of our routines must be taught because routines help create structure and order. So for example, have I taught students the routine for handing in paper, gathering supplies, standing in line, entering and exiting the classroom, requesting help, requesting to work with a partner, requesting a different activity? If any of the answers to those questions are no, then I definitely want to go back and create a routine and some supports to teach those routines. I definitely want to think about what my eye contact and body posture are telling students. Do I seem approachable? Do I seem like I mean business at school? This is the business of school, the business of learning. So do I look like I'm taking this seriously, but am still open and approachable to talk to? As my facial expressions and my gestures are saying to students, I'm supporting your learning. I'm part of the learning process, but I also am expecting you to follow directions. Is there an appropriate balance there as I'm actively engaged in supervising my students? So once I am ready to jump in to a time of day or a specific activity in which I'm going to work to increase my active supervision, I want to make sure that a few things are in place. First, I want to make sure that I have given students very clear directions on what activity I am expecting and that I want that activity to begin. The next thing I'm going to do is move around the classroom in a consistent way that tells students, I am here for questions, I am checking on your work, I am scanning, providing eye contact, and giving verbal or written feedback to students on the work that they are doing. When you are engaging in active supervision, it's really important not to get caught in giving extensive feedback to only one student or one group of students, because then I'm not engaging in that active supervision across the entire classroom. It's a great idea to consider the concept of pre-correction, which is a simple way, or a fancy way, I think, of saying a simple thing. If I expect that there might be a challenge in students using the correct supplies on a task, I'm going to pre-correct that, which means I'm going to give instructions for what I want to happen, right? So if I think something might not be happening correctly, like students are likely to run in the halls when I let them go to the bathroom, I'm going to pre-correct that by reminding students of the expectation that we walk in the hallways and possibly modeling and asking some students to model what that looks like. We definitely want our verbal and nonverbal behaviors to tell students, we are in this for the long haul. We are here for their learning, and we are supervising what's going on in our classrooms. We definitely want to reinforce the good behavior, the great behavior, the awesome behavior at very appropriate intervals. Remember that immediate feedback is more likely to increase appropriate behaviors, and that if an off-task behavior can be ignored because you're praising the correct behaviors that are happening, you're more likely to get appropriate results. Focus on using your strengths, which include your proximity to students, using some prompts, which are some different nonverbal communication skills, making sure that you've got your classroom set up with visual supports and your classroom arrangement supports the behavioral expectations and academic expectations you have for the task. When we're engaged in active supervision, it's important to resist the urge to nitpick every little thing that isn't correct, but rather really focusing on what students are doing correct and restating those expectations. So rather than saying, quit tapping your pencil, I would focus on saying, I would love it if you're not writing for your pencil to be in your pencil box, right? Focus on what you want kids to do, because that will help you build those positive relationships with students. One of the keys to active supervision is that we continuously monitor and continuously scan the area during the task, rather than dropping off in the first 3 minutes, but continuing to move around and really focus on my goal of positive interactions. We want to keep our voice level reasonable, avoid looking frustrated with the day, and avoid publicly humiliating students by calling them out, because no one likes to be in an environment where they're afraid of being embarrassed. When we offer that sincere praise and specific praise, and praise that is motivating to our students, whether it's in the words that I say or the stuff that I'm offering, like a token economy for some students, I'm more likely for students to repeat those expected behaviors over time. Don't forget to stop and get feedback from both your students and other adults who are supporting learning in your classroom. And don't be afraid to use that data that you've collected to make some changes in your classroom instruction. If you are taking this as part of our NKCES Summer Behavior Series, don't forget to head back to your email and complete the steps in this training, including the quiz and evaluation at the end. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always happy to help, and hope you'll head to the NKCES website to check out some of our other fantastic trainings. Happy learning!